It's now my great pleasure to introduce you to this year's commencement speaker, Malaak Compton-Rock. It is fair to say that Ms. Compton-Rock knows something about giving. Indeed, it has been the defining principle of her life. She is, of course, the wife of comedian actor Chris Rock and the mother of 3 children. But she is also an accomplished professional, a visionary philanthropist, and a committed activist on behalf of children and families around the world. Ms. Compton-Rock started her career in public relations and special event planning, working with some of the most recognizable names in the entertainment industry. When she accepted a position with the U.S. Fund for UNICEF, she embarked on an impassioned journey that continues to this day. Through her dedicated efforts, she raised the organization's profile by securing the participation of a broader roster of celebrity spokespersons and supporters, many of whom continue to advocate for UNICEF today. As a result of this positive experience, she chose to dedicate her life to making a difference in the world. Ms. Compton-Rock dreamed of starting her own advocacy organization. That dream was first fulfilled with the creation of StyleWorks, a nonprofit consulting service to help women achieve professional success. She then founded the Angel Rock Project, an online resource that offers community activists the knowledge and tools they need to promote social responsibility and sustainable progress. She also created Journey for Change, a program that provides opportunities for at-risk youth in Brooklyn to travel to Johannesburg for a 2-week volunteer service experience. Ms. Compton-Rock has dedicated much of her energy to the issue of child abuse prevention. She organized the Champions for Children Committee, which enlisted Marian Wright Edelman, Al Roker, Susan Sarandon, and many other public figures to help raise awareness through a multimedia campaign about child abuse and its warning signs. The effects of her remarkable philanthropy can be felt on a local and an international level. Ms. Compton-Rock partners with her husband in everything from supporting a Salvation Army Community Center in Bushwick, Brooklyn, to assisting families stricken by poverty and HIV/AIDS in South Africa. Her energetic approach to activism is perhaps best summed up in the title of her book, If It Takes a Village, Build One. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Malaak Compton-Rock.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay. I heard Brooklyn in the house out there, but I want to hear everybody else. Let me begin by offering my profound thanks and gratitude for being invited to celebrate the journey of the graduates of the Utica College as you embark following the 2012 commencement ceremony. Thank you to President Hutton, trustees, and distinguished faculty. And may I offer a very special congratulations to the class valedictorian, Raymond Frick, and the salutatorian, Meredith Merchant. Thank you for that pronunciation earlier today. And a huge shout out and hearty congratulations to all the parents in the audience who are no doubt proud of their children's accomplishments, but who should also feel extraordinarily proud of their own sacrifice in guiding their children towards this memorable day. So parents, congratulations, well done. And by the way, I'd also like to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms and grandmoms in the audience as well. And you know, we must also honor the rest of the village, because as the well-known and oft-recited African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. So I extend my congratulations to the grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, godparents, and special friends in attendance today. And lastly, to you graduates, you guys did it. Yeah, you did it. And you know, I must be very honest with you guys. This is only my second commencement speech, and I'm a tad bit nervous. I actually give quite a few speeches traveling all over the country and really the world, But you know, there's something different about being charged with the task of saying something to inspire young people who are graduating from college that seems just a tad bit more important than any other speech. When I decided a couple of years ago to give my first speech, I decided to do some research on commencement speeches, you know, on YouTube. And I watched a few. I watched one by Ellen DeGeneres that was hilarious, and one by Oprah at Stanford and Will Ferrell. But it was J.K. Rowling, that prolific author, who was giving a speech at Harvard, and she was so nervous 3 weeks leading up to the commencement that she lost so much weight. And you know, ladies, I made her so happy on commencement day when it finally came. And I can relate to that because this morning I had a bit of nausea myself. But this time around, I decided to ask my husband. Y'all know that comedian Chris Rock? You know him? Yeah. I asked him to help me impart a little advice to you guys. So this is what he said, all right? Listen up. He said, "These past 4 years have been the highlight of your entire life. It all goes downhill from here." Typical Chris. But you know he was kidding, because your lives are full of promise, the promise of fulfilling your personal goals, but also of fulfilling the goals and values of your great college that have been inspired in you. And when I was asked to speak to the graduating students of Utica College, I wasn't very familiar with the school. But as soon as I read that the school so specifically educates its students not just for rewarding careers, but also for responsible citizenship and enlightened leadership, I knew there was something very special here, and I wanted to be a part of honoring you as you go about fulfilling the mission of your college. Because let's face it, leadership in this world is so desperately needed now. At Utica, you've been given the skills and the tools needed to impact our increasingly diverse global world in a profoundly positive way. To be sure, your work is cut out for you guys, given the challenges that lay before you. A world beset by inequality, injustice, environmental hypocrisy that leaves the most vulnerable among us in need, not just of your compassion, but your expertise, your skills, your dedication. The fact that you chose to spend the last 4 years of your life at this particular university already speaks volumes about the choices you've made. I love the college Facebook page describing Utica as part of a vibrant and diverse community of learners motivated by the will to succeed and the desire to make a difference. And I really got the sense of how seriously Utica students take their will to succeed and desire to make a difference when I read the story of 2 Utica students, Mike Hend and Rob Baird, who plan to run or walk 3,500 miles across America this summer to raise $1 million for the Breast Cancer Foundation. Yeah, that is so cool. As a founding member of the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation, I have a very special place in my heart for these 2 young Utica College men. So now, you've received a first-class education. You have some choices to make about how you'll use your education and what you'll use it for. Whether you choose to enter the for-profit field, business, finance, or nonprofit workforce, your commitment to enlightened leadership and responsible citizenship will be your guiding light. When I was 23 and a year out of college, I read the words that have become my guiding light. Service is the rent we pay for living. Those words were written by Marian Wright Edelman, the founder of the Children's Defense Fund, and I've taken them to heart ever since. So as you leave Utica College, it is my sincere hope that as you embark on this journey, you will make a difference and you'll be an enlightened leader. And one of the best ways to do that is to choose to serve, to give back. And you know, service comes in many, many forms. Initially, as a young college graduate, it may be making a commitment to volunteer a certain number of hours per week, or donate a certain amount from every paycheck to a cause that you care deeply about. Maybe you'll exercise your consumer power by buying consumer goods that adhere to fair trade standards, or advocate on behalf of those who need your voice. In deciding to serve, honor what you're passionate about. whether it's environment or world poverty, social injustice, etc. Use the skills you've acquired to offer your assistance to organizations that focus their efforts on causes that pull at your heartstrings. For example, something that has been a call to action to me is the global water crisis. Over 1 billion people worldwide lack access to clean and safe water. Unsafe water leads to diarrhea, which is the single greatest threat to the world's children. 5 million people die each year from water-related diseases, most of them children under 5. Bono, you know Bono, of U2, and founders of the One campaign and Product Red said in a commencement speech that he gave, "Your degree is a blunt instrument. Build something bold with it." I want to echo those words. When we understand that half of the world's people live on $2 a day and 20% live on $1 a day, it is clear that the world needs your boldness, your vision, and your dedication. Now, we understand that finding a job in a tough economy will be the first priority for you. I mean, how can you help anyone else if you don't help yourself first, right? But Winston Churchill said, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." So even as your mind is focused on getting a job, keep your heart focused on what that job will allow you to give. In a great little business book called The Go-Giver, the first law of stratospheric success says that your true value is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. And by the way, taking a vow of poverty is not a requirement for a life of giving and service. I mean, I love a Manolo Blahnik shoe. I love a Christian Louboutin. Have them on now. See the red soles, ladies? You must get a pair. But I've also built a school in rural Ghana for former child slaves, and I've rebuilt a school in Sierra Leone that was destroyed because of the war. So in fact, the more money you make, the more you can give. In the book, The Practical Idealist, Changing the World and Getting Paid, the authors interview people in many fields who are working to transform society, but still have to pay student loans and establish personal financial stability. And Americans are already extraordinary givers. The average American gives about 3.2% of their yearly income. That works out to about $1,620 per year, $135 a month, and so this breaks down to that cup of coffee and that scone that you guys are going to pick up on the way to work, about $4.50 a day. So now, you are going to be challenged in ways that young people have never been challenged before for a long, long time. There is no denying that our economy is still recovering, but recover it will. And remember that you guys have the will to succeed and the desire to make a difference. Patricia Ireland, former president of the National Organization of Women, she said, "I don't believe that you lead by pessimism and cynicism. I think you lead by optimism and enthusiasm and energy. By working hard to improve your own life situation, you can simultaneously help to improve the lives of those who didn't have the same opportunities as you." We are so much more aware of our interconnectedness now, and by working holistically, we can create sustainable and just world. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." We can all have each other's back, so to speak, as we work together. And you know, that word interconnectedness can sometimes seem like a new age buzzword, but I'd like to tell you how it works in real life, in real time. You know, when my husband, Chris, was growing up in Bedford-Stuyvesant, a neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York, his parents sent him to the Bushwick Salvation Army Community Center after school. Bed-Stuy is a pretty tough neighborhood. It's filled with gang violence and drug abuse and other social ills, and his parents really wanted him and his brothers to have a safe place to go after school and in the summer. And so as he became adult and became successful, he's been giving back to that center ever since. A couple of years ago, we decided to build a state-of-the-art library and computer center at the Salvation Army after I toured it and was told to look at the library, but I looked up and it had no books. After doing my work there, I really got to know the children who attend the center. And around the same time, my family decided to go on vacation to South Africa. And unlike most of my visits to the continent, this one wasn't for work, it was for pleasure. We went on safari, we visited Cape Town, and we even had the privilege of meeting with Mr. Mandela, or Madiba, as they call him. But it didn't feel right towards the end of my trip not to incorporate service. So I called my old boss at UNICEF and I asked him to set up a visit. And we went to a shantytown in Johannesburg of about 250,000 people, living in shacks and running water and completely devastated from the AIDS epidemic. 1 in 6 people in South Africa has HIV/AIDS. And after visiting the grannies, again in these shacks with no running water, these little tiny, tiny places, as we were about to leave, one of the grandmothers, she stopped me. And she said, "Ma'am, what are you gonna do?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I'm just so sick of people coming here and taking pictures and leaving and not doing anything," okay? She called me out. So I asked her, "What do you need?" She said, "We simply wanna feed our grandkids and send them to school." So I told her I'd come back. I told her I'd come back to South Africa and I'd find out what she needed. And she went, "Psh, yeah, right." Well, 3 months later, without my family, I came back to South Africa, to that shantytown, to that shack, to that grandmother, and I asked her what she needed. And we've been running programs in South Africa ever since. Yeah, it's been a special journey. And then I had an idea. I wondered if I brought the youth who I worked with in Brooklyn to South Africa for 4 reasons. 1, to introduce kids who'd never left New York, some never their neighborhood, introduce them to travel. Travel allows you to dream. Introduce kids on the receiving end of aid to the giving end of service. Allow kids in the US to understand their inherent blessings, particularly when it's compared against third world poverty, and then encourage them to take advantage of those blessings. And 4, to create global citizens concerned with the communities around them and the world around them. And so, Journey for Change, Empowering Youth Through Global Service was born. I've come to realize that a life of service is one of the most extraordinary privileges we can know as human beings. To serve helps us to understand that we are all connected, that our community and our world is so much bigger than our town, city, or home. Serving inspires us to go outside of ourselves and to be much more aware of the needs of our fellow human beings and our increasingly fragile planet. And I know that you guys, you graduates, you are up to the task. I watched a short video of one of your fellow students who I now know as Karan. Brooklyn's in the house. And a little Trini. Hey, parents. And he talked about his education here at Utica College and what it meant to him. He said, "If I can influence and inspire, I'm good for the rest of my life." Yeah. Those words seem to embody the spirit of Utica College. In his memoir, the late Senator Ted Kennedy reveals that all of his work that he did in the Senate and all the things he tried to accomplish were based on the verses of Matthew 25, which read in part, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." The king will reply, "I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me." These verses were his call to action, so to speak. Class of 2012, what will your call to action be? In the 2009 Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Half the Sky, written by journalists Nick Kristof and Cheryl Wooden, they wrote a vivid account of the struggle to eradicate poverty, disease and illiteracy in the third world by acknowledging that women are the backbones of their communities. In Africa, there's a saying that women hold up half the sky. My question to all of you, class of 2012, is this. Will you let today be your call to action? And will you do your part to hold up the other half of the sky? Thank you and congratulations to the Utica class of 2012.
We're not done.
We're not done.
Stay right here. In recognition of her remarkable and outstanding contributions to society, it is now my great honor to present for the honorary degree, Doctor of Humane Letters, Ms. Malaak Compton-Rock. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Lawrence T. Gilroy, Chairperson of the Board of Trustees, who will now confer the honorary degree upon Ms. Compton-Rock.
By the authority of the Utica College Board of Trustees, with the faculty concurring, I confer upon Malaak Compton-Rock the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, and all the rights and privileges pertaining thereunto. I present her with this diploma, signed and the seal of the college affixed, and direct that she be invested with the appropriate hood this 13th day of May in the year 2012. Congratulations.